All right, so Lord of the Flies meets Mean Girls meets Hannibal slash Silence of the Lambs in a certain sort of way. But regardless, you combine those three and you get Yellowjackets. Yellowjackets. It's crazy. This show is absolutely crazy. Let's get on to my review. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here. This is my spoiler-free review of Yellowjackets Season 1 and Season 2. I'm just going to be giving my overall thoughts of both seasons and how I absolutely adored this series, and I cannot wait for Season 3. There is a Season 3 that's been announced, but I have literally just discovered this show. Or I'll say this, I didn't just discover it, but I did hear about it like years and years ago. But the thing about it was I was not going to get Showtime streaming to watch it because I already have enough streaming platforms already. I don't need to get Showtime, but somehow, some way, my Paramount and my Prime combined into one, and I was able to watch Yellowjackets finally after hearing so many good things about it, and I was absolutely stunned. Not only just how good the show is, but how great the performances are in this show. I mean, these girls and these women are absolutely phenomenal. So look, I'm just gonna, like I said, just gonna be giving overall thoughts of my the first and second seasons. But as far as what the show is about, this is a story about girls on a soccer team who basically have a trip to go to nationals. Then their plane crashes in the middle of nowhere in the forest. Basically, they have no way of signaling for help whatsoever, so they're stuck out there for the show says 18 months, so it's good to probably just go off that basis. Yeah, it says they've been stuck out there for 18 months, and basically throughout that 18 months, you're going back and forth between the past, which is basically them being in the forest trying to find a ways to survive not only the fall season but the winter season, which is very harsh, especially out there in the wilderness. And then you're bouncing back to the present where the survivors of the incident where those girls, plane crashed, they are basically living out their lives, and they're still being haunted by the events that not only happened back then in the past, but things are just starting to catch up to them in their present, and it's just kind of just reminding them and bringing them back together to basically figure out just what the heck is going on. And they're trying to, I want to say they're trying to find a way to stop feeling the way they're feeling, but it's basically a traumatic experience that they really can't bounce back from, or they're trying their best to move on from, but it just keeps catching up to them in ways, and you're just bouncing back and forth between those two stories. And like I said, guys, not only is this story just freaking incredible, but the women in this series absolutely kill it, and especially the young girls. The girls that you spent, the best part of this show for me is when you're spending time with the young girls in the forest and basically trying to watch them survive, and it's basically the actual Lord of the Flies meets Mean Girls meets the Hannibal. That's really all going on in the past. The present part of this show is more so just a very traumatic experience and just them trying to figure out just how to essentially move on with their lives and things like that, and they're still just very just fucked up from the entire experience itself. But the main premise of this show, or the biggest and best parts of this show, all happen in the past section. And look, I have to completely shout out, make sure I get their name right, Sophie Thatcher as Natalie. She is an amazing actress. She plays the young version of Natalie. Ella Pornell as Jackie, incredible Mean Girl. She's damn near the show's Regina George for sure. Christina Ricci, who plays the older version of Misty. Christina Ricci plays the older version of Misty, who is absolutely phenomenal. Christina Ricci is one of the best parts of this show as well. But the younger version of Misty, her name is Sammy Hanratty. She's a scene stealer. I mean, that girl is absolutely phenomenal in every sense of the word. I mean, she absolutely delivered insane performances. And another girl that I want to shout out from the younger group the younger girls in the cast is Jasmine Savoy Brown. She also plays in the Scream series, which I saw her in Scream first. I didn't know she was in this, but seeing her in this, that girl is an amazing actress. I mean, absolutely spectacular. All of these girls absolutely kill it. And then I wanted to shout out Melanie Linsky, who plays, what was her name? Shauna. Don't know why her name escaped me for a second. I normally know the actress's name as the girl from Two and a Half Men. Who is she? Rose. Yeah, I know. I normally know her as Rose from Two and a Half Men, but this chick knows how to play a crazy woman, and she does it just too perfectly. But an immense shout out to all the younger girls in this cast, because watching them try to survive the wilderness and honestly just adapt to their environment and just honestly figure out more and more about each other while they're out there is the most strenuous, tension filled part of this entire series. Like, this thing is just insane. Like, it honestly, what I really enjoy about the show is how it slowly just continues to just like ease you into the insanity. Like, it's not just like going complete different levels of insanity all at once and just hitting you with so much randomness, and it just feels so out of place. Like, you are slowly, like, as the show slowly progresses, or not slowly progresses, it's not a slow burn type of show, but as the show progresses, you're slowly introduced to more and more concepts where you're just like, okay, these girls are absolutely going to lose it, because they are, while some of them do have the skills to be able to cut up animals and be able to uh use some sort of things to survive in the wilderness. Some other girls just don't have that whatsoever. And then once the winter time comes, that's really when they're fucked. But the main thing about season one is basically that mainly happens in the fall season. Season one is basically where they're just getting adjusted to being out there in the wilderness. They're trying to find out how to hunt. They're trying to find out how to cut up different animals, trying to find out just what the heck is in this area in the first place. And honestly, some of them come up with ways that they think they can signal for help that don't really work out, and some of them come up with ways that they just think, we just need to sit here and try to survive. And I'll say this, there is a supernatural aspect to this show that you really don't get into the later seasons or the later episodes of season one, and definitely the heavier portions of season two. But once those supernatural aspects are introduced to the show, it really just goes off the rails. It just goes complete insanity mode. And I was honestly surprised at the critic ratings of this show or the critic to audience scores of this show on Rotten Tomatoes. There was a huge gap. I mean, I think the audience scores is in like the 30s and the critic scores is in like the 90s, and that's for season one and season two. And I was like, wow, I thought a lot more people would enjoy this show. Now, I will say this, I can understand where the division could possibly be. Like, once the supernatural aspects of this show are kind of introduced, that's really where a lot of people could lose you. But like I said, I felt like the show, or that's where I felt like the show could lose people by introducing these supernatural aspects. But like I said, I personally thought the show did a really good job at slowly just easing you into just how insane this show gets and just how insane these girls start to go. Like, it doesn't necessarily just randomly start to get there one step at it, like just in a random scene, like we're just chilling, the girls are just chilling, and then all of a sudden they're worshiping these tree gods. Like, no, like, this thing slowly gets into, what each of these girls' backgrounds are, how some of them are religious heavy, how some of them aren't, and how some of them, they just feel at peace or at one with nature and things like that. Like, you're slowly introduced to all of these girls' backgrounds and their morals and their character and their characteristics and their values and things like that. And once it gets into the supernatural aspects, I feel like we weren't expecting it not to go this direction. Like I said, it definitely, season two definitely just dives into some really, really crazy stuff at this point. Like, these girls are just completely lost their minds. But that's why it completely reminds me of Lord of the Flies, because it's like, you don't know what you would do to go, or you don't know what lengths you would go to just survive an environment like that and just be out there. And season one just does such a good job at just slowly easing us into all the insanity. And then season two itself just goes full insano mode. Season two just goes completely wild and out, just because that is like I said, that season two is the winter portion of, the seasons. It's like heavy, it's like animals are hibernating at that point. The girls are starving. there's a plot point that happens in the series that is just like, well, it continues on from season one. There's a plot point where one of the girls is going through something, and it's just like, I don't even know how she is surviving in this state out there in the wilderness like this. And it just goes completely crazy. Like season two, just because you know the state of starvation they're in, and you know just the state of starvation and hunger that they're in, and just how the hungrier you get, the more insane you go, and the more delusional things get. It's like, it's really crazy. Now, some of the characters, one character, Jasmine Savoy Brown's character, Thaisa, her present version of herself deals with this multiple personality type thing that is still connected to the woods, and we are introduced to that, in the back and forth sets. We're introduced to how her current self, her adult version, is still kind of dealing with that, and she has these blackouts where she can't really remember when she's doing those things like that. And then her younger version, we're seeing her slowly dive into that insanity and those multiple personalities. And like I said, I just really like the pacing of this show. I thought the pacing of this show was very good. I actually, in season two, I absolutely love the additions of Elijah Wood, and I think his name is Josh. What's the dude's name? John Reynolds. John Reynolds from Search Party. I love the additions of those two because they absolutely came in and just fit the entire tone of the show. They're absolutely wacky and they just fit so well. Christina Ricci, like I said, of the adult versions of the girls, were one of my favorite parts of the show. Juliette Lewis, yeah, her name is Juliette Lewis. She's good. She's good in the series too. I feel like her character Natalie. Well, I mean, no, I felt like her adult version of herself and the kid version of herself, there was kind of an offsetting kind of trait there, but that's because the character went through so much in the woods. Like, this is who she is now. And I don't know, so at some points I felt like they were kind of two different people. But Sophie Thatcher, the younger version of Natalie, was absolutely amazing. And Juliette Lewis did a really good job too. I just felt like the character itself kind of lost its way in between, those years at some points in times. And like I said, personally, the reason I'm not really talking about the present version of this story so much is because that's not really the most interesting part of the show. Like, it is interesting to see just how tragic and just how traumatic of this how traumatic this experience was for these girls, and how it really just followed them all the way to their adult years, and how it affects your life, how it affects your relationships with your families and things like that, how you can possibly move on from something like that, or how impossible it is to move on from something like that. Another thing I really liked about the show, as far as the adult versions of the girls go, they don't necessarily show you everyone who survived. They just start off with four girls, and then as like the series progresses, you start to realize who else survived, what else happened, and then your mind just starts to wonder at that point, okay, who else survived? Like, what are they not telling us? What are they hiding from us? What information are they trying to present to us? And what information are they trying to keep hidden from us for now? It's really an amazing mystery show. I mean, mystery is kind of it's a mystery as far as like you not being in the dark about who survived and things like that and what exactly happened. It's a show that definitely keeps you guessing in that point, but it's not necessarily a mystery show. It's really just a crazy dramatic thrill ride. That's really what this show is. And I enjoyed the heck out of season one and season two. I truly cannot wait for season three. I'm so glad that this show is continuing. I really had a great experience with season one and season two. Which one was probably my favorite? I'll say what I enjoyed more about what I think season one I enjoyed more is kind of the story itself. And then season two, I just really enjoyed all the craziness. I just really enjoyed how crazy this show got, and just how some of the darker themes in this show, you can really tell that this season three is probably just going to go down a road where it's just completely fucked up and just something we are not expecting whatsoever. But these girls can clearly act up to the task because they have pulled off some amazing things in season one and season two. As far as season three goes, that's why I say, like, the past stuff is so much more interesting because it's just like we know it took 18 months for these girls to survive. So it's like, what did you truly go through out there for 18 months? What did you see? What happened? Like that is truly the thing that keeps me wrapped up in this entire series itself. I don't necessarily know what they're going to do for the adult versions of these girls in season 3, but I'm very interested to find out. But look, those are my overall thoughts of Yellowjackets season 1 and season 2, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Look, if you haven't seen Yellowjackets, which I'm not sure a lot of people have, because who's downloading Showtime or who's going to subscribe to Showtime? I have no idea. I know I wasn't doing that for this show, but if you have an opportunity to just get a free trial and binge this thing, do so, because it's freaking amazing. It's a really good show. It's a really good series. You should definitely check out. And if you've already seen it, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. But look, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and so much more, guys. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.